Staying in an old school brokerage for a long period of time, unless you plan to be there for your entire career, you start to build up a resistance for change, because then you don't want to even explore an other option because you're so used to what you have. Or maybe there's a fear of like hopping brokerages. I don't want to be known as a brokerage hopper. I got news for you, agents. Your clients don't care where you work. They care about working with you. Welcome to the podcast dedicated to real estate, insurance, and building your business. Join us as we take you along our own business building journeys with additional wisdom from our network of local and national experts. Welcome to Bricks and Risk.
This episode is brought to you by Property Management Redefined. PMR is not just managing properties, they're creating partnerships that build long-term success for property owners. John and his team can be reached at manage@gopmr.com or by phone 267-753-6005. Tim.
Yes, Sean.
Who's a good client for PMR?
Property Management Redefined is looking for property owners who value three things: accountability, reliability, and a results-driven approach. You want to maximize returns, but still provide client and tenant satisfaction.
There's a lot of property managers out there.
Yes, there are.
What does PMR do really well?
Biggest thing is they're seamless and they're worry-free. So with that approach in mind, it allows the property owner to put their trust in PMR and know that the results will be there. The other thing I think a property owner is really going to value, because they do it so well, is that they have a local expert team, boots on the ground, managing your properties and your tenants' expectations every day so that you feel good about your investments.
We have millions of listeners out there.
Tens of millions.
If they want more information, how do they find PMR?
Right here, guys. Reach out to John Sachs and his team at Property Management Redefined. We'll take good care of you. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bricks and Risk. I am TMJG1.
Are you finished? Is that it?
That's it.
And I'm Sean Mooney.
What's going on, homeboy?
How we doing?
Good. We were just listening to some old school 90s hip hop when we were growing up. We started going down a rabbit hole. We're like, oh, whoa, better record this episode. We were getting into some goats. Shout out to the goats. Philly Pride. Little Funk Dubious.
Fushnikins.
Little Fushnik.
All the classics.
The classics. All right, so today we're going to go over something that is near and dear to my heart because I ran an independent brokerage myself for almost 10 years. We're going to go over old school brokerages versus the new school brokerages. When I say old school and new school, without you being in real estate, but obviously hearing me flap my jaw about this stuff for 18 months.
Right. Correct.
What comes to mind for you? Not necessarily company-wise, but what do you think would differentiate like an old school versus a new school?
The first thing I think of is technology, technology and tools. It's like, who's implementing old school, meaning like the old way of doing business versus the new way of doing business. That's kind of the line of demarcation that I have in terms of those two, which could be right, could be wrong. I don't know. It's just what I think of, what comes to mind.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. That's one of the things to think about. But what if I told you that the tech and the tools that brokerages offer today are kind of the same for the most part? Now, again, they could be a little better at some place than at others, or maybe they're included at some places, not included at others. But the reason I say that is because anyone can pick out any tool they want, software as a service, and just log in. Doesn't matter what brokerage you're at. Which we're going to get into, like why someone would join one versus the other potentially. But a couple of things to consider that I would kind of differentiate a new school from an old school is office space, because that model has drastically changed in the last 5 years, like right when COVID started. Marketing and tech, which we'll get into, and your brand. how does that brokerage look at their brand? Do they want you as an agent to lead with their brand, or they expect you as an agent to lead with your own brand? And they both look at it differently. And then the one I was going to hit on today, which actually I don't think is different from one to the other, is training, because I feel like no matter what brokerage you're at today, you're going to get training in some kind of way, shape, or form. It could be very, low key in the office, in the conference room. It could be with a group of 50 people. It could be Zoom. It could be a conference in another state. But everyone offers training today. But let's start off with old school, because we were just talking about some old school jams. We're talking about the goats.
Seeing the goats circa 1995 at the TLA.
TLA. Shout out to the TLA in
I
Philadelphia.
wonder if you can get that concert. Was it the TLA?
Oh, I'm sure someone's got that on like a
wasn't the
VHS camcorder.
What was the other? No.
Was it
No.
Electric Factory?
Nope.
Was
One
it
more.
the Trocadero? Yo, you saw the goats at the Trocadero?
Yeah.
I saw some bands at the Troc back in the day.
Dill, we'll pull that.
We're going to get you a shot of the
Why?
Troc so you can see the grittiness of the 90s hip-hop rock scene here in Philadelphia.
It was kind of like underground. It was great. It was me, Dennis, and Chief, his brother Kev.
Nice.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chief.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So talking about old school, I'm gonna have an analogy. You know how I like to make examples, have analogies, so that things are easier to digest. Because if you're not in real estate, you might not really have any idea what I'm talking about right now. So I want to create an analogy that gives you a sense of old school versus new school.
I find these very educational.
Okay. So old school is more the traditional model, but old school, I'm going to say you go on vacation. Old school, I would compare to an all-inclusive vacation. So you've been on vacation before. Have you done all-inclusive?
Yeah.
And have you done it a la carte? Like just you go and okay. So there's two different ways to vacation these days. There's no right way, there's no wrong way, but there's really two good ways. If you're going somewhere warm especially, how do you want to book your trip? So the reason I compare the old school to all-inclusive is they're like, you need this office, or you need this tech, or you need this mentoring, or this group training, or whatever it is, this brand. You need those things in order to have a good time. So when you go to all-inclusive resort, they're usually built like big complexes. It's like, what kind of room would you like? We have 20 different kinds, and we have 5 pools, and we have 4 on-site restaurants, and you can take a kayak out to the ocean, or you can windsurf or whatever. Like they have all this stuff.
Pre-templated.
They know what you want, and therefore when you go there, you don't want to leave the resort because you're like, they have everything I need. An a la carte vacation is the new school way of real estate, where they say, pick and choose what you want. Like if you do an a la carte vacation, you can pick and choose any hotel you want for lots of different reasons. Can you find a hotel with on-site restaurants? Of course you can. Can you find the hotel that has the 3 pools? Yeah. But your drinks and your food might not be included. So you're like, I kind of want it that way because I don't want to eat 3 big meals a day and go home 15 pounds heavier than before I arrived. So that's why I feel like people separate their vacations now. I just want to go all-inclusive. I don't want to think about it. Or I want to go a la carte because I want to put some thought into it. I want to pick and choose what I want to do and what I don't want to do. So that's my analogy to fire this one up. So let's go with the all-inclusive old school brokerage model. Again, this is my personal professional opinion. Some of the pros, because I'm always going pros first.
Right.
Or do I usually go glass half empty?
If you go that way, usually send it over to me.
It's very true.
To tackle the half empty.
As if I didn't know you.
Right.
All right. So a couple of the pros. I'm going to say first and foremost, the office life culture. That's a pro of an old school, let's call it all-inclusive brokerage. They're promoting that. Hey, we have an office in this neighborhood. We have an office in that town. We have an office at this Jersey Shore town. So the agent's going to find value in that. Oh, when I go down to the shore, I can work in this office. When I'm in Center City, I can work in that office. When I'm in the suburbs, I can work in the third office. So they're promoting that. They're saying you need an office to be successful as an agent. And guess what? There's lots of agents who I know or who I have met that said, I want an office whenever I want it. I want some space. I want it to be fairly close to my house. I want a printer, scanner, copier. I want a conference room. Like, I want those things at my disposal to run my business. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just in the last 5 years, which we'll get to, the office model has changed drastically. Here's the biggest change that I see. You know, when you represent the seller or have a listing and it closes, you're usually going to the buyer agent's office for the closing. The buyer chooses the title company in Pennsylvania. The buyer basically picks the location and the time, and therefore the listing side goes where the buyer takes them.
It's not at a settlement office that's like independent. It would be at the real estate office.
I mean, there's basically 4 options for a closing these days: the buyer agent's office, the listing agent's office, the title company's office, or maybe it's just like
Somewhere else.
Sometimes people actually do it at the house now because they just need to go get things signed in person. They'll go scan it. We're done.
Yep.
So when I go to a listing settlement, so I represent the seller and I go to the buyer agent's office, sometimes I'll go to an office where like, hey, we have 300 agents at this office. We have 500 agents. We have 100 agents.
Yeah.
And I walk into the office on a Thursday at 11 a.m. or a Tuesday at 1 p.m. and there's 3 people there.
Yeah.
And this has been very common since quarantine ended, that more and more agents are opting not to go into the office every time they want to work.
So okay, draw the distinction between pre-COVID and after COVID. So you have an office, you have 100 agents in that office.
Yep.
Were they going 5 days a week to the office?
I'd say there was probably, let's call it, again, these are just shooting from the hip.
Yeah.
10% of the agents would maybe go 4 to 5 days a week.
Right.
And maybe like a quarter of the agents would go like 1 or 2 days a week. Okay. And then there was probably like a large
50,
portion,
60.
50%, even pre-COVID, were not going into, you didn't have an office that could fit 300 people. Like, that's not how the offices were built.
Yeah.
Maybe they fit 50, 70, you know, but they knew they were never going to get that
like
many.
the high producing agent that has the corner office?
You do. So this is going to separate the old school from the new school. So we're going to get in this a little bit. I don't want to stay too much on office, but in my opinion, the all-inclusive old school brokerage says you need an office. Here are our offices.
Right.
Go pick one. Then also, I think another pro of the old school brokerage is the brand of the brokerage. Like, you find value in that brand. Probably more value than you value your own personal.
Well, it's bigger. It's more noticeable. It's bigger impression that big box brand has on the consumer.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that they're pushing their brand. Okay, you're going to work at this brokerage. We want you to lead with our brand, and then either your solo agent personal brand or your team brand comes secondary.
Yeah.
The new school approach, which we'll get into, is the complete opposite.
Yep.
They want the agent or the team to lead with their brand, and then they want the brokerage's brand to be secondary. So it's interesting. And then the third pro is it's just really easy to look at. It's comforting. It's more traditional. It's what people know. I mean, the average age of an agent, the last time I looked in the last 1 or 2 years, was over 55 years of age. The average agent. So just think about the people that are like 55, 65 years old. How do they want to do business? They want to go in an office, and they still probably keep paper files, which is fine. That's how they, keep track of their business.
There's no way. There's not enough.
Oh, I know for a fact that people keep paper files still. Okay, so just so you know. And it's just the old way of doing business. What's old, what's familiar seems comfortable, seems easier. This is what my dad did, my uncle did, my older brother, my older sister. I'm going to go do that too. I'm a second generation realtor.
I wonder if those big traditional big box brands see this coming on the horizon, where all of these 50 and 60 and 70-year-old agents are going to be gone soon.
Yep.
And are they going to keep that model as this is the way we do business? Or if there's a shift on the horizon as newer, younger agents come in and they really have to change their strategy to cater towards those new agents.
Like they'll need to pivot more or less. I think it can go either way.
Yeah.
You know, it's like almost like compared to like e-commerce. When e-commerce was taking off during COVID and quarantine, they were like, retail's going to get crushed. What happened after quarantine? Retail took off. And a lot of these e-commerce online brands actually started saying, no, we also want a retail presence, brick and mortar. Look at Amazon. Amazon invested a ton in brick and mortar. They got the lockers everywhere. They got Whole Foods. They got all these places where you can go. So again, they're not just an online company. They also have a brick and mortar presence. Let me go over some of the cons. So some of the cons, the number one con that I see it from the old school versus the new school is cost. And the cost is usually figured out in the split and or fees. So when I first got into real estate, it was 2010, my split was 55. My broker kept 45%. And actually back then, I thought that was like a fairly good deal. I'm 5 points over 50-50. Now, were there companies at the time who offered more than that? There were, but they were few and far between. Fast forward now, a lot of the brokerages are 70%, 80%, 85%. That's what they give to the agent, and they only take 30% or 20% or 15%.
Do you think that that's because they started to go in that trend where this broker did it, so you have to follow suit to compete? Or do you think that it's more of like, hey, we don't need this office space. We don't need all of this additional infrastructure. So our expenditures are down. So we have more money to give back to the agent. Like how do you see it as?
Like how it is basically?
Yeah.
Well, the new school brokerages, because they're so young, have been able to build their model based on having less overhead, less offices. Maybe it's not a human being in every single market across the country. Maybe they have a centralized support system where they could control costs, they could control travel, all that stuff.
But the traditional places, have they stood on that model of still giving 55 or 60%?
That doesn't really exist as much anymore. It can exist on a team model.
Yeah.
So remember we did the episode with teams, and then I had said the brokerage kind of put like the ownership on the team leader.
Yeah.
You figure out your splits.
Yeah.
You charge you collect, 25%. So that's kind of, the old school ones are starting to adjust up, whereas the new school ones are already kind of where they are. And that seems to be the way it's going to either stay or continue to go.
Yeah.
The next con is culture. And I hate to say that as a con, but
because you already said it as a pro.
Exactly. The office life culture is a pro. That's what they're selling you. That's what they say. This is a benefit to coming to our brokerage. You get to have this office. You get to meet people. You get to shake hands. You get to kiss babies. You get to sit in their masterminds. So you get to do all that stuff. But the culture, the con of that, just call it culture in general, it's an old school way of thinking. And unfortunately, every agent these days has some kind of technology in some way, shape, or form. So they're going to go out and learn on their own how other places do business. They'll watch a YouTube video. They'll go to the company's website. They follow their social media. They meet another agent who works at a new school brokerage. They're like, hey, what's it like there? And they're like, this is what we do. And they're like, what? Really? So again, different flavors of ice cream. They're all good. You just got to pick the one that works for you. And then the third con that I actually find to be one of the biggest cons is that staying in an old school brokerage for a long period of time, unless you plan to be there for your entire career, you start to build up a resistance for change. because then you don't want to even explore an other option because you're so used to what you have. Or maybe there's a fear of like hopping brokerages. I don't want to be known as a brokerage hopper. I got news for you, agents. Your clients don't care where you work. They care about working with you. So that's going to be a little bit more on your side. But some of the examples I did, building up a resistance to change. You're used to the office, whether you need it or not, doesn't matter.
It's familiarity, right? And it's you
exactly
tend to go and by default.
What's comfortable? It's comfortable for me to just get my laptop, go into the office, and go work for 4 hours or 8 hours or 2 hours, whatever. There are some of the people in the old school culture who really like competing for that top producer spot. I was the monthly leader of a solo agent, of a small team, of a mid-sized team, of a mega team. I hate to say it, and I'm not poking fun per se, but this is what's out there. This is what I see on people's feeds, and there's nothing wrong with that. You should be proud of your progress in real estate, but that's what this company is selling you. The old school is selling you the dream of being number 2 solo for the month of June,
It sounds like you're poking fun.
I am poking fun.
I never.
And my brokerage does it too. Real does it.
No,
Some they don't.
It just like I saw the other day. It was like on someone's social media or email, and it was like number 15 in the nation, and I'm like, of what?
Who cares?
No, not like really like so like you sold the 15th most.
Yeah, based on what? Yeah. Well, there's a lot of these.
Well, you didn't. You didn't. I know for a fact without, and I'll have Dylan spot check this, that they did not sell the 15th most inventory in the country.
It's like, the Inc. fastest growing it's like all that stuff. It's like if you fill out the application and only 10% of the people fill out applications, you're only going up against 10%.
I know, but like they should just stick to the numbers. How much did you sell? Yeah. Right? Like
exactly.
I sold this much. Okay, then that gives me a realistic evaluation of where you stand.
All right. Appreciate all that.
Just
outside looking in.
Just this outside guy who has nothing to do with real estate. Doesn't know a
until he did this
thing.
podcast, and now he's like, gee, I eat, sleep, and breathe.
But it would be like
real estate.
It would be like you're in the Major League Baseball and you're like, I had the
10th highest batting average.
Yeah, but you didn't because it was on a mid-cap team that was in the Northwest, and you're like, no,
exactly.
Don't put that.
It's deceiving. Hey everyone, this is Tim, your favorite Bricks and Risk co-host, but don't tell Sean. I hope you're enjoying this episode, and I'll get right back to it in a moment. Our audience grows through word of mouth, so if you would please take a moment of your time and give us a review on the platform you're on, that would be fantastic. Please also help spread the B&R word by sharing your favorite episode with a friend. We greatly appreciate your time and trust. Now, back to the show. All right, so let's go over my favorite. We're going to get into the new school a la carte brokerages.
Nuevo.
Yeah. And back to being on vacation, the a la carte is like, hey, I'm going to pick the hotel myself. When my wife and I go out to dinner every night, we're going to pick the restaurant, whether it's at the hotel or off-site. We're going to figure that out. Hey, if we want to go on an excursion, we want to go zip lining in Jamaica, I'll just figure out, okay, what's the company that does zip lining around here? Like, here are 3 companies that do zip lining in Jamaica. Pick one. You go to Google reviews, you're like, okay, I'll go with that one.
It's funny that we're talking about and how you're relating this to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Because nowadays, I don't know if you've seen it, but you can literally pre-program ChatGPT to plan out your trip. Be like, oh, I want $10,000. I want to go to Italy.
Yep.
I want to drink some wine. I want to sit on the beach. And it'll
map it out.
Everything.
Well, here's the thing. Remember, travel agents kind of like went out of business when the internet took off. Let's call it like 20, 25 years ago. So travel agencies used to be all over the place. They basically went out of business, but there are still travel agents today. But the ones who do it today just do it differently. They will use ChatGPT or they will get the training through whoever they're working with. They're just going to take the work off your plate.
Yeah.
So it's not to say it doesn't exist, but what went from a big industry to a small industry has just completely changed.
Yeah, Roseanne at Springhouse Travel.
Okay.
They
Shout out to Roseanne.
They still got it going.
Right. Awesome. All right. So here's some of the pros to the a la carte new school model of residential real estate. Number one pro, entrepreneurial environment. The reason that is because they want the agent to lead the charge for branding, for leadership, for marketing, for sales, for your accounting, for your attorney, for your sign company, YouTube, whatever you're doing as an agent to market yourself, they're putting on the agent. Now, some may say like, well, I don't want to do all that stuff. Well, then the new school model is probably not a good fit for you. Again, different flavors of ice cream. Pick which one you like.
Well, it doesn't, and there's a caveat there, right? Because they're not like go out and figure it out.
They
Right.
are kind of like go out and figure it out. Now, to an extent,
Right.
if you don't have much of a office life culture, they're not encouraging you to all meet at this central spot Monday through Friday, Monday through Sunday, whatever, or hosting all these events out of this spot. Like, here's our HQ.
Yeah, but I mean it more like, hey, you need signs? Sorry, go figure it out, right? Like some are going to be like, well, if you can get signs here, like, oh, DocuSign, I need a DocuSign license. Oh, sorry, like go figure it out. Go, like,
Right.
don't some of these have some of the
Benefits,
help?
like the built-in benefits.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare for a brokerage these days to like design and print signs whenever you want them.
I know, but
you got to
like,
pay for them no matter what.
No, I know, but like maybe they've got a licensing deal with like Go Fast Signs or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's D signs, there's Oakley signs. Like, these are the big residential real estate companies that make signs, and most of the brokerages just partner with them.
Yeah.
It's rare that they got a sign machine in the back. They're like, we'll just print them off in the back. Hey, Bill, you need 5 of the Timmy G signs, huh?
Maybe. Jim Fergus.
True. Shout out to Jim Fergus, Studio Signs. What's up, buddy? So again, like, let me just preface it by saying, like, the entrepreneurial environment, that's the culture they're building.
Yes.
They're away from the offices. Most of the new school brokerages don't even have offices, which is shocking. People are like, what? Where's your office? Where are you going to do business? I'm like, here's where I do business. Out of my home office.
Well, it's hard because there was so much weight put on the office.
Yep.
Hey, this is how we're going to impress people.
Yep.
We're going to have the brand. We're going to have the office, and that's going to resonate with a lot of people, and they're going to want to do business because of that, right?
Yeah.
And
there's like a perceived value.
Oh, yeah.
Just like there's a perceived value to an all-inclusive vacation. I just hit yes, and I show up, and that's it. And anything I want to eat, I can have whatever I want to eat. If I want a pina colada at the pool bar, I can get a pina colada. What if I want 10? Okay, you can have 20. Like, that is a way of thinking. Like, someone just says, I don't want to think about it. I don't even want to put the thought into where I'm going to work. I just don't want to do it. So therefore, the old school model is probably a good fit because they tell you where to work. Go work here. Here's the suburban office. Go work here. Here's the city office. Go work here. Here's the shore or the Pocono office. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's what they're pitching.
Yeah.
That's what you're buying into. So again, huge pro of a new school is financial. I just had lunch with someone the other day who works at an old school brokerage, and we're tight, we're boys. And we were talking about, different brokerages. How do I like being at Real? And again, Dill, 1995, scrolling style. Tim works at Real Broker. So we're fully disclosing that I'm somewhat biased about some of this stuff.
You should have worn your real hat
I should have,
on the episode to let the people know that you're new school.
and I have, and you'll see it again. So we're having this conversation over lunch, and we were talking about someone we knew working at an old school brokerage.
Yep.
And I was hanging out with that person recently, and how do you like it at Real? I love it. Why do you love it? ABC. And then how do you like where you are? I love it. Why do you like it? ABC. I said,
Wait, were they totally opposite, or was some overlay?
it's just like personal preferences, let's call it. So it's hard to, let me finish my thought.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard to argue the personal preferences, but here's what you can argue. Numbers don't lie. And I said, on that volume that you did, I'm going to venture to say you paid like $40,000 to $50,000 to your brokerage last year, just on that level of volume. And he said, I paid over 50. And he said, well, how much did you pay at Real? I said, well, I capped out last year and I paid $15,000. And he was like, really? And I said, yeah. He's like, well, how's that? And I said, well, that's how they run their business. But I don't need the office like you do. Oh, yeah, I definitely need an office. Then you're in the right spot. Until you get to that point where you don't need that or don't see the value in it, maybe it's not worth it for you to pay $40,000+ for the office.
I know. So can you go? I need you to record that next conversation, because like I want to hear his
Oh, you want me to get arrested?
ABC and your ABC. I would love
Let me get a cease and desist letter from his attorney.
I know, but so we talk about perception, right?
Yes.
So like if he's like, oh, I love my brokerage because I get paid really well. And you're like, well, I like it being over here because I get paid really well.
Well, a lot of them don't really say, it never started with I get paid really well. It's just like, here's why I love my brokerage.
I know, but I would love to see if you guys said the same thing, but they're totally different. But it's just the perception of.
It's the perception. It's the perceived value, you know? And then remember the one episode we did about, solo team and owning a brokerage,
Yeah.
the structures in real estate, I think it was called. I forget what number it was. And I talked about, you were like, well, shouldn't someone be on a team if they're new? And I was like, no, I think you should be solo. Figure out if you had a good year, what would you pay to that team? Let's say it was $10,000. Let's say it was $5,000. Go take that $10,000 or $5,000, invest in a coach that wants to know more about who you are and what you're trying to do and where you want to go and how fast and slow. So I look at it as in that example, if you paid over $40,000 more than I did, now again, we did different volume, but still, you would have paid the same as me, a little bit more because of the more files where I am right now.
All right, let's just call it 30K.
Take the extra 30K, go find whatever office you want for any reason. You can go get an office on Main Street in Manayunk. You could probably find something downtown. You could be in a suburban retail strip. You could be in a corporate office building.
You could be in the Ritz-Carlton.
You could
Still, we'll do this off camera and we'll record it. I'm going to call the Ritz-Carlton and ask how much to rent an office.
Okay. Do they rent offices at the Ritz-Carlton or just hotel rooms?
For $30,000, they'll be renting offices. Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, Mr. Mooney. Oh, we have Mr. Mooney on the phone. Oh, sorry. Let me straighten my tie. Yes, Mr. Mooney, what will it be today? You're like, aside from caviar?
I'd like an office with a window view.
You're like, I want a $100 cheesesteak from Barclay Prime.
Some Wagyu.
That's what I want.
Isn't whatchamacallit going out of business?
What?
The one around the corner? Double Nickel, Double Eagle, Del Frisco's. Are they shutting down?
Oh, the one on Broad Street is.
Yeah.
The regular one is all right. But anyway. So the financial one, why is it more beneficial? How do the new school brokerages do it? Like, why are they only taking that much? Lower overhead. If the company that I work for today doesn't have offices in any state besides their headquartered offices on different coasts, let's say, or maybe one for operations, they got 3 offices. They don't have as much overhead.
Yeah.
The old school brokerage, depending on their system, if it's a franchise system especially, even the ones that aren't a franchise have offices in every major market across the U.S.
You know what's funny now that we're talking about this? I never thought about this before, but it's really a direct kind of comparison. Insurance companies, the big brand insurance companies for years have these office campuses.
Okay.
Like if you drive down Route 1 in Concordville
Yeah.
and it's near like the Mint and you go down, there's State Farm Drive. And this is
Oh.
where I did my training.
Well, they have like these big regional hubs for like
Oh,
office
yeah.
workers.
Yeah.
Why?
I guess at one point it was
It was just
perceived to be good.
necessary maybe for all the franchise owners. Like you can go to the headquarters if you
No.
need something.
No, it was more corporate employees.
Oh, okay.
Like you'd staff your claims people, you'd staff. But over time, many of these big box insurance companies have gotten rid of them.
And they have a centralized hub
Yeah.
in like 1 or 2 markets
So instead
probably.
of having like 15, they might have like 3.
Welcome to now. This is what
So
has
it's very
happened.
similar
It
in
is very
that
similar.
regard is like,
That's a really good example. So again, the lower overhead, also the take what you need approach, just like a la carte. You're here for the hotel and the hotel bar and the hotel restaurant and the hotel pool. You want anything else? Go figure it out. We don't offer zip line here. You go to the one in Jamaica where they're like, oh, we can go at 11 o'clock today or we can go at 3 o'clock. What works best for your lunch schedule? They're like, I don't know. What do you think, honey? You think we should have lunch on the at the pool bar and then we'll do the 3 o'clock when we're like pretty liquored up? That sound like a good plan?
shuffleboard.
Right. And then the last one is also like a pro that a lot of people don't think of today that most of the old school ones don't offer. Some offer it in some kind of way, but not like new school, is stock and profit sharing opportunities. I'm not even going to get into all the specifics of that because it'll just take us down an enormous rabbit hole.
No,
and
you
we
don't
have
need to.
enough time.
It's
If you want to know more about that, just hit me up. I'll send you a 1-pager. You can learn all about it. It's pretty easy.
but just some offer it, some don't.
Some offer,
added
a lot
benefit.
don't.
Yeah.
And then the third pro is really in the flexibility and less red tape. Remember, we've talked about red tape before, the broker. What do they do? You know, is it admin? Is it legal? Is it marketing? Like, what are they not letting you do?
Yeah, and that goes back to my insurance days as like in order to market, like put a flyer out or do anything, it
Right.
had to go back to corporate office. They
Has to
had to
look like
stamp
this.
it, and then it has to give the approval, and then you could release it. Like that's the inner workings of how that happened.
Now, again, the old school and new school brokerages are pretty similar in that what an old school one would do is have lots of templated things
Yeah.
for you to choose from, knowing that if they got 100 options, you're going to pick one. You're not going to want to create something on your own. The new school might have a handful of templated things and say, we know you're going to want to do your own thing. Just have our name and our address on, or our name and our office number, and you're fine in Pennsylvania.
I just remember getting calls like, you're not authorized to do that.
You're in a lot of trouble, Sean.
It's like, okay.
You're like, I've never heard that one before.
Yeah. 4th grade, St.
Like,
Luke's.
I remember hearing that at DARE training.
Yeah.
They said, Sean, you're in a lot of trouble, pal.
You're not passing.
See this certificate? Nope. So,
Hit me with the cons.
all right, well, real quick on the flexibility one, here's a big one. I'm going to give you a personal example. So we do development, we do home flips, we buy
yeah.
buildings, we have holds. Here's a huge advantage to the place I'm at now. Again, Copper Hill kind of has some flexibility with it, but most brokerages don't have any flexibility with this at all. They say there are 3 deals in every calendar year that you can just take a free deal. Meaning you're selling your own house. It's a free deal. You pay like a transaction fee, but there's no split involved. Or you're selling your parents' house or your
What?
aunt's house. Or if you're like me, you flip a house. If you're flipping a house, you're not going to be the long-term owner. You're going to acquire it. You're going to fix it. You're going to sell it to somebody else. You can take free transactions. 3 a year.
Wow.
Huge, dude.
I'll make 2 points on that. Nail that differential that when you met with that person and you're like, well, we're at over 50. Like that number, that gap becomes even more when you're like, well, you can take 3 for free. I mean, that's just an added, that's huge.
Right. It's huge.
And then the second point is I would have hate to have burnt through my 3.
Yeah.
And then Aunt Joni comes and sells her $5 million house. Like you got to strategize with that.
Aunt Joni?
Aunt Joni
Hey, Joni.
comes by and says, hey, I want to sell my house. And you're like, oh, Can you wait till next year?
You're like,
Can we go to market next year with that?
Annie Joni.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Like, but it is.
Depends on how tight you are with her if she would just push it to the next calendar year.
All right. So again, we're going to go con, glass half empty,
Oh, let me do the con.
Mr. Mooney approach. Why don't you read the first con?
It's all about perception.
It's perception. Here's the biggest one that I get, the biggest con to being in a new school versus an old school. The perceived value to someone else, the perceived con. Tim, you're not getting enough for your commission split. You should be getting more. There are more offices here. There is more training here. There is more support, more multi-million-dollar mastermind weekly activities here. So the perceived value is you don't get a lot where you go to new school.
So here, let me just extract one thing from that thought.
Okay.
Is behind it, me, the outsider, is almost to the point where it's like, you're not good enough.
Scarcity.
No, you're not good enough.
Yeah.
You need
to be with the big boys and girls.
You need the office. You need the training. You need the help. You need the admin. You need the support. So that's just the way I look at it when that's brought up.
Yep. That's good. Good way to look at it. Here's another con of new school. It's super progressive. So again, progressive things are scary. That you got a new way of doing business. Like, I'm sure there were people when State Farm said, we're getting rid of that big regional office. There were people like, no, what are you doing? Well, where do I go for this? Where do I go for that? You're like, you call this 800 number and they'll answer it on the phone, or you email them and they'll send you what you need. You don't need to come into the office for that anymore. So with anything super progressive in business, there's always that fear. Did they go too far? That it's going to mess with my business. My clients aren't going to like it. I'm not going to be as successful. I don't have what I need. I'm not getting trained right. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Real estate, just like insurance, old school industries. They're old, they're antiquated. There's a high average age of people in our industries. They've been doing it for 20 years, 40 years, 60 years. There's people who do real estate into their 80s. Like, they're signing, I'll sign this, John. Like, that's what people are doing because you can. Like, you can keep doing it. It's a relationship thing. In insurance, it's a relationship thing. If I went to my grandfather at one point when he was in his 80s and said, can you help me with commercial real estate? He could. Like, he could make it happen. So I think because the industries are so old, a traditional level of thinking tends to take longer to like work its way through the modern times.
If you want to be scared, go watch Manos.
And I still haven't seen it yet. We gotta get Dill a picture of this movie. It's so weird. It's just such an inside joke, which we won't beat to death. But we'll send Dill a picture of this movie, and it's ridiculous.
We'll put a little clip in.
We will. Here's
a little GIF.
Here's the last con
for trial.
The last con is you technically probably get a little less support than an old school brokerage. Like, I don't really have as many local boots on the ground people that I can go to than I go to my current brokerage. Like, I got to make calls. I got to talk to people in different markets, which is fine. Works for me, but it doesn't work for some. And it's probably seems like there's less like tangible benefits, like the office, like the printer, scanner, copier, like the conference room. Now, these things can get figured out, but it probably just feels less. It's a perceived value. So here's what we're going to do, because we've gotten better at this, is I want to talk about some tips. So I'm going to offer some tips to all the agents that are listening out there so you can get a sense of where we are today in 2025, whether you've been somewhere for a long period of time, or even if you just got started and you've only been somewhere for a year. You could be at a new school brokerage for a year and realize you want old school.
Sure.
For whatever reason, that's what works for you. So this is going to help everyone. Here's my first tip. Ask yourself, do you like where you're currently at? If the answer is yes, great. If the answer is no, great. So what I would analyze is,
What if you're medium? What if you're like,
if you're medium, you're still going to have pros and cons. Like, I'd say, what's the culture like? What's the support like? And what's my financial situation like? Get a grip on where you work. A lot of people, they work places for 5-10 years. They forget what it's like. I don't even know what I'm paying.
yeah,
I just show
I
up.
don't know.
Everyone knows me.
Yeah.
I don't have to change my cards. I don't have to change my signs. I don't have to work in another spot. I'm good.
Yep.
Like, and that's fine. But take some time to analyze where you're at. And I think it's going to benefit you and your agent business. And here's one that I give out to people all the time, because what's been really wonderful about starting Bricks and Risk is that I have heard from local agents in my industry, like in the Philadelphia area, that I've known that just hit me up now for advice. And they're like, Tim, would you mind if I run something by you? One, I get a lot of broker related stuff because I was a broker for so long. They're
Yeah.
like, how's this looked at? So I'll always, the email, the call, the text, you can hit me up. Anyone can hit me up anytime and I will take the time.
Coffee, pizza, wine.
Just as long as it's not too many people. But no, I'm just kidding. I'll help out anyone. So I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? I've had a bunch of people reach out to me recently because I had my own brokerage for 9.5 years. I've been in a new place for, I don't know, 15, 16 months now. And they'll say, I don't know, like, I like where I'm at, but I'm like, I kind of feel like there's something better out there. So here's what I say. Rather than saying anything, take the top 3 places you would go if you were to move to a different company, pros and cons of each one. I want to go to ABC Real Estate. I want to go to 123 Real Estate, and I want to go to XYZ Real Estate. If I were to go somewhere else, go to ABC, pros, cons of going there. Pros, cons, you get the idea. But write it down. It's almost like when I talk about doing an annual plan, just write it down. Write something down, type it down, put it somewhere, and it allows you to look at your business again and say, you know what? This just actually re-energized me because I am in the right spot. I do love all the things I have. I'm okay with the financial structure. I love the culture. I don't want to go anywhere else. So that's liberating. But what's even more liberating is if you're one of the people that's talked to me recently and you're thinking about a different option, take your top 3 pros and cons of each, and then take 15 minutes to.
Well, how do you know? I mean, if like you're saying,
gonna have the research,
right?
You're gonna have to.
Okay, so give me that. Like
All right.
you're saying, oh, just line it up, just pros and cons of each. Like, well, if I work for XYZ company, how do I know, or where do I get the information to find out about ABC company?
Well, here's the wonderful thing about real estate. Agents at any brokerage, old school or new school, will always take the time to have coffee with you, have lunch with you, take a call if you're interested in their brokerage. Talk to the people that you know, him or her, at this brokerage that you're interested in. If you have a friend in another brokerage, even better. You're going to do less research.
Yeah.
Make the call, send the email. What's the financial structure like? How do you like the culture? Where are your offices located at? What tech do you get? What's the training like? When's the awards banquet? Get everything you need to get from your friends. If you don't have friends, go to their website,
Or
do
just
some
take the
research.
top 3. What top 3 are important to me?
Exactly.
All right, go ahead. Fill that out. Where do you stand on that? Right?
Exactly.
And then on my off time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare an app for my mobile phone. Your mobile phone. It's going to work on both platforms.
It will, considering we have the same phone now.
It's going to be like the mortgage calculator.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I did 10 deals. This is my volume, and boop. This is what you're going to get with ABC. This is what you're going to BCD. And it's going to give you a number. That's what I'm going to create. I'm going to go to Fiverr. I'm going to find a programmer. Dill's going to give me some money to start this thing off the ground. And we're going to create it. And then every agent can come to me and I can tell you, hey, if the financial aspect is most important to you, I will give you what each of these can offer.
I made my app in Zanzibar.
Yeah.
and it's really top notch. It was only $37.50.
It'll be the Temu of real estate apps.
All right. We've belabored that enough. Shut us down.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for sticking on so long. If you want to email the show, hit us up, bricksandrisk@gmail.com. We're on the socials, the Facebook, the YouTube, the Instagram, the LinkedIn. Subscribe to the show. Leave us a message. Hit us up.
That's all we have for this one, folks. Thank you for tuning in again to another episode of Bricks and Risk. We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Bricks and Risk. Our goal is that you walk away with 1 or 2 valuable nuggets, and we greatly appreciate you sharing your time with us today. You can find all BNR episodes on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and anywhere else you get your podcast content. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing.